In this video, the fundamental equation for planetary gears, also known as the Willis equation, is derived. It describes the motion of the planet gears of a planetary gearbox. This can then be used to determine the different transmission ratios of a planetary gearbox. The animation shows an example of a planet gear being driven by a carrier around a sun gear. The sun gear itself is usually also rotating. Note that the sun gear can rotate independently of the carrier. So the carrier is not locked to the sun gear. The rotation of a planet gear is not so easy to understand because the motion is ultimately a superposition of three different motions. The movement is no longer just a simple rotational motion around the axis of rotation, but the axis itself performs a circular motion around the sun gear as the sun gear itself rotates and influences the rotation of the planet gear. The motion of a planet gear can therefore be attributed to the superposition of three separate motions. Rotation of the carrier around the sun gear with simultaneous rotation of the planet gear around its center of gravity and simultaneous rotation of the sun gear. However, the movements are not independent of each other, as the planet gear rolls on the sun gear. The ratio of the diameters of the sun gear and planet gear therefore determines how often the planet gear rotates around its own axis while it moves once around the sun gear. To derive the relationship between the rotational speeds of the sun gear, carrier, and planet gear, the movements listed are first considered separately and then superimposed. For the sake of clarity, the gears are shown as cylinders. In principle, this corresponds to the pitch cylinders. Let us first consider only the effect of the rotation of the carrier on the rotation of the planet gear. In this fictitious case, the sun gear is at rest and the planet gear is firmly locked to the carrier. In a time t, the carrier rotates by an angle phi. In this case, this also corresponds to the angle alpha by which the planet gear has rotated relative to its original orientation. Note that all angles are given in radians. However, when the planet gear is rotatably mounted on the carrier, it actually rolls on the sun gear and makes an additional rotation around its center of gravity. Therefore, the planet gear rotates by an additional angle beta as it rolls on the sun gear. The arc-shaped distance a, which the planet gear has traveled on the sun gear during the time t when the sun gear has rotated by the angle phi, corresponds to the distance b, by which the planet gear has moved on the circumference in the case of a pure rolling motion. The angle beta can then be determined from this relationship with the use of the radian measure. In radians, an angle is defined as the ratio of the arc length to the arc radius. Thus, the angle beta can be determined by the ratio of the arc length b to the radius rp of the planet gear. Similarly, the angle phi is the ratio of the arc length a to the radius of the sun gear rs. We can now solve both equations for the respective arc lengths and equate them on the basis of the fact already explained. The resulting equation is now solved for the angle beta. In this equation, we can also use the respective diameters instead of the radii of the gears. These ultimately correspond to the respective pitch circle diameters. Let us now look at the influence of the rotation of the sun gear on the rotation of the planet gear. To do this, we lock the carrier in the position shown and only rotate the sun gear. The sun gear then rotates clockwise by an angle epsilon within the time t. In this case, the planet gear rotates back counterclockwise by an angle gamma. Here again, in the case of a rolling motion, the arc-shaped distance a, covered on the circumference of the sun gear, is equal to the arc distance b, by which the planet gear has moved on its circumference. As before, the definition of the radian measure gives the relationships shown between angle, arc length, and arc radius. After solving these equations for the respective arc lengths and equating them, the angle gamma can be determined as shown. Now let us summarize the individual motions. If the planet gear were fixed to the carrier and only the carrier would rotate by the angle phi within the time t, the orientation of the planet gear would change by the angle alpha. However, since the planet gear also rotates around its own center of gravity due to the rolling motion, it will also rotate by the angle beta. If we also take into account that the sun gear rotates clockwise by the angle epsilon within the time t, the planet gear rotates back by an angle gamma. We therefore subtract the angle gamma from the sum of alpha and beta. In this way, we obtain the total angle delta, which describes the rotation of the planet gear within the time t. We use the relationships previously derived for the respective angles alpha, beta, and gamma in this equation. In the resulting equation, we can also use the respective rotational speeds instead of the angles of rotation, since the angles rotated within the time t are directly proportional to the rotational speeds. The greater the rotational speeds, the greater the respective angles that result within the time t. The angle delta then corresponds to the rotational speed of the planet gear, and the angle phi corresponds to the rotational speed of the carrier, and the angle epsilon corresponds to the rotational speed of the sun gear. In this way, we obtain the equation shown. For the sake of clarity, let's rearrange the equation a bit. This results in the equation shown. Since the pitch diameters of gears are directly proportional to the number of teeth, this equation can be expressed using the number of teeth of the gears instead of their diameters. This equation now describes the relationship between the rotational speeds of the planet gear, sun gear, and carrier as a function of the number of teeth on the planet gear and sun gear. This equation is referred to as the fundamental equation of planetary gears, also known as Willis equation. This fundamental equation is used, for example, for conventional planetary gearboxes to determine the various transmission ratios. The animation shows a conventional planetary gearbox in which the carrier, sun gear, and planet gears rotate. Although the planet gears in this case are surrounded by a ring gear, this does not change the derived relationship between the sun gear, planet gear, and carrier. The only question is how the motion of the planet gears is transmitted to the ring gear. This will be shown in the following. Since the teeth of the ring gear and the planet gear cannot penetrate each other, which means that a tooth of the planet gear cannot be faster or slower than a tooth of the ring gear, the speeds of the teeth on the pitch diameters of the two gears must be the same. Thus, if the speed at which the outermost point of the planet gear moves is known, it corresponds to the circumferential speed of the ring gear. The circumferential speed of a circular motion depends on the angular velocity omega and the radius r, as indicated. The angular velocity is in turn directly related to the rotational speed n, as shown. If the diameter of the circular path is used instead of the radius, the shown relationship between circumferential speed, rotational speed, and diameter is obtained for a circular motion. For the same reason that the speed at the outermost point of the planet gear must be equal to the circumferential speed of the ring gear, the speed at the innermost point of the planet gear must also be equal to the circumferential speed of the sun gear, as here too the teeth always mesh and do not penetrate each other. Once again, a tooth on the planet gear cannot be faster or slower than a tooth on the sun gear. We can now derive a relationship between the circumferential speed of the planet gear, the sun gear, and the ring gear. For the sake of simplicity, we will again assume the gears to be pitch cylinders. The motion of a point on the planet gear can be understood as the superposition of two motions. First, the planet gear rotates around its center of gravity when the carrier is locked. In this case, the typical symmetrical and linear increase in speed is obtained, starting from the axis of rotation of the planet gear. The maximum speed Vp is obtained directly at the pitch circle of the planet gear. At the center of rotation, the speed is zero as long as the planet gear axis is not moving. Now, however, the axis of rotation moves at the speed of the carrier Vc, so that both movements can be superimposed to form the actual overall motion. The speed distribution, therefore, shifts to the right. At the outermost point, the total speed Vpo is equal to the sum of the carrier speed Vc and the circumferential speed of the planet gear Vp, since both speeds are in the same direction. On the other hand, at the innermost point, the total speed Vpi is equal to the speed of the carrier minus the circumferential speed of the planet gear, as the latter points in the opposite direction. At the center of the planet gear, the speed is equal to the speed of the carrier. In this way, we obtain the linear speed distribution shown. The boundary condition is that the speed of the outermost point of the planet gear is equal to the circumferential speed of the ring gear, and the speed of the innermost point of the planet gear is equal to the circumferential speed of the sun gear. We solve these two equations each for the speed Vc of the carrier and then equate them. After rearranging the equation, we obtain the given relationship between the circumferential speeds of the sun gear Vs, the planet gear Vp, and the ring gear Vr. The indicated circumferential speeds in this equation can be expressed by the rotational speeds and the pitch circle diameters according to the previously derived relationship. This relationship between the speed and the diameter of the planet gear corresponds directly to the right-hand side of the fundamental equation for planetary gears. Therefore, we can equate both sides. After simplifying the equation, we finally obtain the indicated relationship between the speeds of the sun gear, ring gear, and carrier. Obviously, the speed of the planet gear no longer matters. Only the diameter of the planet gear is still part of this equation. However, the diameter of the planet gear is clearly related to the diameter of the ring gear and the sun gear. As can be easily seen from the figure, the sum of the sun gear radius rs and twice the planet gear radius rp equals the ring gear radius rr. We express the radii in terms of the corresponding pitch circle diameters and solve this equation for twice the planet gear diameter dp. This expression can now be used in the previously derived equation. We then simplify this equation and rearrange the terms a bit. This gives us the fundamental equation for conventional planetary gearboxes. Note that this equation is independent of the planet gears. Neither the speed nor the diameter of the planet gears play a role. Since the pitch circle diameters of gears are proportional to the number of teeth, the planetary gear equation can also be expressed by the number of teeth of the ring gear and the sun gear. This equation can now be used to take a closer look at three special cases, for each of which the transmission ratio can be determined relatively easily. We will go into this in more detail in the following. The first special case is when the ring gear is locked and the gearbox input is, for example, the sun gear and the output is the carrier. In this case, the speed of the ring gear is obviously zero. In this situation, the planetary gear equation is as shown. Since the transmission ratio is defined as the ratio of the input speed and the output speed, we solve this equation for the quotient of the rotational speed of the sun gear and the carrier. In this way, we finally obtain the given formula. Since the ring gear is always larger than the sun gear, the number of teeth on the ring gear will always be greater than the number of teeth on the sun gear. In this case, the transmission ratio will always be greater than 2 and can theoretically be as large as desired. The result is a so-called power ratio, which increases the torque and decreases the speed. If the input and output are interchanged, the result is a speed ratio that increases the speed and decreases the torque. Another possibility for a transmission ratio in conventional planetary gearboxes is when the sun gear is locked and the input is provided by the ring gear and the output by the carrier. In this case, the planetary gear equation is as shown. We now solve this equation for the transmission ratio as the quotient of the rotational speed of the ring gear and the carrier. This results in the given formula for calculating the transmission ratio. In this case, we also always obtain a power ratio, whereby the transmission ratio is between 1 and 2, as the sun gear cannot be larger than the ring gear. If the input and output are interchanged, the reciprocal transmission ratio is obtained. Another possibility for the transmission ratio occurs with a locked carrier when the input is through the sun gear and the output is through the ring gear. The planetary gear equation is then as shown. If we solve this equation for the transmission ratio as the quotient of the rotational speed of the sun gear and the ring gear, we obtain the given formula. In this case, the negative sign means that the direction of rotation at the output is reversed with respect to the input. The transmission ratio is between -infinity and -1, depending on the number of teeth on the ring gear and sun gear.